Hi guys, so I was pleasantly surprised to hear former Cabinet Minister and Brexiteer David Davis make a passionate request to his government not to cut foreign aid spending. Now, the UK government has decided to reduce the percentage of GDP that is spent on aid, which means that while there's a decline in GDP as a consequence of the pandemic, it's also dropping further due to the cut in respect to GDP itself. He explained how this cut will affect people in developing nations that rely on this aid, and he made a very valid point that the UK used to be a leader in this aspect. I have great respect for him on this particular issue, but unfortunately it's a little tarnished by something he says towards the end of this particular clip you're going to hear. Now, he was interviewed on BBC Radio 4 Today programme. Let's hear what he had to say.
In my judgment, even more fundamental than that, you've got massive cuts in things like clean water, which kills more children worldwide than almost anything else dirty water does. 80% cut there. 10 million people will lose their access. You've got cuts in funding for food, people starving, 250,000 people. Again, thousands will die, large numbers of them children. Across the board, this cut, in which we're virtually unique in the we are unique in the G7. No other G7 country is cutting its aid in this way. Is going to have devastating consequences across the world. And I bear in mind, I'm historically a critic of aid spending, but doing it this way is really so harmful.
We are a bigger donor than many other rich countries in the world. And we are, as the government would say, in extreme times, in unprecedented times, a once in 300-year economic shock.
This is not a valid argument because, as I said before, foreign aid is linked to GDP. So as GDP decreases or increases, the aid goes along with it. So if the economy is suffering at the moment and GDP is down, how much money the country is making is reduced, then foreign aid will go down with it. If the economy is doing really strongly, if the economy is booming, then foreign aid spending will increase with that. But what the UK government is actually doing at the moment is not just allowing foreign aid to remain linked to GDP. They're actually reducing the rate at which foreign aid is connected to GDP, which means, as I said before, it's not just going down because of the economy collapsing. It's also going down because its GDP, its percentage connected to GDP, is going down too.
Does that, they do say it's temporary, although that's one of the aspects of this. We don't know how long temporary is. Firstly,
as you've heard, some of these have been cancelled. So if you are a small child and you then suddenly get dirty water and you get an infection from it and you die, temporary doesn't mean much. Also, you're right. We have been a leader in aid, but now Germany's at 0.7% already. France is getting there this year. America's increasing its spending by $14 billion a year this year. So we are not such a leader in those terms anymore. In fact, we're throwing away what was, I don't want to go into soft power arguments, but if you want to take a realpolitik argument, we're throwing away enormous influence, particularly in Africa, where there's a great ideological battle with China. But this...
Now, the problem here with this argument is that it's been presented by David Davis, leading Brexiteer. The idea that UK soft power is being reduced. You voted for this. You campaigned for this, David. You are partly responsible for this. This is part of the Brexit mentality. I'm sorry to bring Brexit into this, but this is part of the mentality of the Brexiteers. We want to cut ourselves off from the rest of the world. They talk about, reaching out to other countries, but in reality, it's about cutting the UK off from the rest of the world, turning it into a hermit nation. These are the types of people who are completely against foreign aid. Now, foreign aid has two forms, in a sense. One is providing water, infrastructure, hospitals to people in developing nations. The other is about building business connections, economic links, competing with countries like China or the United States for influence. So there is the good aspect of foreign aid where you're actually doing something for the people of the country. And then there is a more sinister aspect where you are trying to create new consumers in that market for your products and services. The UK seems to be cutting itself off from both of those, but as I said before, that's a consequence of Brexit. This is the Brexit mentality, and David Davis was front and centre. So I agree with him and I respect him for the arguments that he made about the humanitarian impact of these cuts, but he has to accept that he is part of the problem as well. He fermented this Brexit mentality in the minds of the public. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?